Hello, everyone. My name is Carrie, and I am here proud to be representing Silent Podcast. We will be talking about Celebrity Big Brother, or not Big Brother. What am I saying? Celebrity Circle. I'm going to watch Big Brother. Celebrity Circle UK edition. Let me introduce you to my wonderful co-host, Leandro. Leandro, take it away.
Hi everyone, my name is Leandro. I'm very excited to be here. It's my first time collaborating with Silent Podcast, and I have a question for Carrie. Are you a little fishy in a little dizzy?
I aspire to be a little fish on a little dish. Maybe not a little fishy on a little dishy, but definitely a little fish on a little dish. For sure. And if you don't know what we are talking about, that's because we are quoting episode 2, I believe, of the Celebrity Circle. So just giving you a heads up that over however long this takes, we are going to be talking about episodes 1 and 2. If you haven't seen them yet, we welcome you to follow along with us so you can watch them after and be like, wow, their jokes about that show is so funny. Or if you don't want to know what happens, then come back and watch this after you do. But I think Leandro will agree with me. As we were talking earlier, the first 2 episodes of this are fire.
It was intense. I didn't expect the game to be so strategic, so fast. So
especially with celebrities. Usually I feel like celebrities are there just to be there, for the publicity of it. But we've got celebrities coming in and taking swings.
Yeah, I feel because because it's for charity kind of thing. They're just you know what, just gonna have fun with it. We're doing a great thing anyway, so they just wanna create a little chaos and have fun with the show style. So it's good. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, it's been great so far, and I love the Circle as it is as a game, but I didn't know what to expect this with celebrities, and I have not been let down yet. What's nice is that this is only a 6-episode season, so we're a third of the way through. So if this intensity builds from where it's at and the gameplay builds from where it's at, the last 2/3 of the season are going to be great. The thing that's bad about that is there's only 6 episodes this season. We're done with this in a week.
Yeah, that's crazy. But I kind of it's gonna be a very fast but explosive season. With things happening all the time. So it's gonna be a good one for sure.
Yes. Before we get any further, in case you're joining in just to support one of us and you've never watched The Circle, here's a quick explanation of what the game is. So basically they put 8 people into this big apartment building. Every person or pair, if people are working together, get their own apartment, and they don't see any of the other contestants. They only socialize with each other through this online social network system called The Circle. And so they can have private chats. There's the group chat, aka the Circle chat, and they compete in events. What happens is each round people are nominated as influencer through a ranking system, and then the influencers block people. So the goal is to continue being popular enough to either be the influencer or at least not to be blocked by the influencers until the final 5. Does that, Leandro, add anything that might not make sense there?
No, you cover up pretty much everything. It's just a ranking, and you are on the top, you have the power, and if you're not on the top, you might be in danger. So you have to rely on your social connections. And I feel this is a game that you kind of also want to play in the middle a little bit, because you don't want to be the easy vote out, but also you don't want to be a huge target, especially on the first rounds. So yeah, you said it correctly. You build a rank, you get influences, and you vote people out.
And the cool thing about this, which will lead us right into our cast for this season that we're watching, is you don't have to play as yourself. So one of the big components is this person a catfish? So each season they have people come in playing other people, or you can choose to play as yourself. This season, we actually have pairs of people playing as one person, which I think adds such a great dynamic watching it. I have been cracking up at some of this stuff, but we'll get into that. So without further ado, let's talk about the celebrities we have. Now, mind you, this is UK Celebrity Circle, so I spent so much time Googling some of these people because I've never heard of them. Like, I had tabs on tabs on tabs open of like basically everyone. I had no idea who they are. However, they are entertaining me. So you should be watching this even if you don't know who any of these people are. For that, like, just trust me. I don't lie. I'm an honest person.
Yeah, like the UK, like, because I also watch like a couple of like Celebrity Big Brother seasons, and like even if you don't know the celebrities, it's always entertaining, always entertaining. Like they bring it up, so it shouldn't be different on the circle.
So let's start with people who are playing the game as themselves. First, we have Duncan James, who is in a boy band called Blue. I've never heard of this boy band before, and I consider myself a pretty avid boy band fan. He was also in some soap opera. He also gives me Joey vibes from US Circle.
Yeah.
But like a chill version of Joey. Like if Joey were to take like Xanax, you'd get Duncan.
That's true. Like honestly, on my notes, like when I saw like the introductions, I was just like, meh, like because it's such a recurring character, like the bro, the flirty, the sassy guy, and I was like, I'm not sure about Duncan, but like he kind of grew on me, like on the episodes, like moving forward, like, but I also didn't know about Blue.
Mm-hmm.
At first, I thought I heard Blur, like the band Blur, and I was like, I don't think Blur was a boy band. But yeah,
also,
and I like that he said that he like, oh, I'm willing to flirt with guys and girls. Like,
oh yeah.
That's a good thing on a circle contestant.
Also in my deep, extensive research, aka Wikipedia, it seemed that he was the only one out of these people who has not really competed in any sort of reality TV show before. He is kind of like the outsider in that. It seems like everybody else has done different UK reality TV shows. So I thought that was kind of interesting that this is like his first like dip in the reality competition TV pond.
Yeah, and you can tell that he was very excited to be a part of the play a reality TV show. So yeah, he definitely showed that he was interested in being there.
Our second player is Denise Van Allen. She was on Broadway, I believe in Chicago. I will hand up, admit I know nothing about Broadway or any of those. Like if you're singing and you're expecting me to comprehend what you're saying, I'm out. Like I can't do it. So just throwing it out there. If you've seen her, cool. I haven't. She also came in second place on Strictly Come Dancing, which if I were to infer is like America's Dancing with the Stars. She was a judge on Ireland's Got Talent, and she does the voiceover narration for The Only Way is Essex, which I will only be calling Toey from here on out. What did you think of Denise?
I loved like that she said that like she is known like among celebrities, so she's friends with a lot of celebrities. Like I love that. And she was like, so if they're catfishing, like I would know if they're catfishing. So I really like that she came out saying that. Like I hang out with celebrities all the time, so it's not gonna be easy to fool me. So I really like that attitude for a catfishing game.
I thought that's actually a really interesting layer that gets added to this game that doesn't happen in the other circles because it's Celebrity Edition, that like these people have all, and no pun intended, ran in the same circle for years. You know what I mean? Like they've all come across each other. So they have that extra information of figuring each other out, trying to like use what they know. And you see that happen throughout the first 2 episodes of like trying to catch people in these very blatant lies of like figuring out if they're catfish or not. So that definitely does add in an extra component that you don't see in like your regular everyday circle season.
Absolutely, especially like if you are a celebrity playing as a catfish, trying to figure out that someone else is a catfish, how do I call that person out without calling myself out? Like so that's an interesting dynamic that it's really new to the circle game style, but I really like it.
I agree with you, and I think we're going to talk about that more as we talk about some of the things that came up in these first 2 episodes. The last person of the initial 8 players who is playing as himself is Saffron Barker, who doesn't have a Wikipedia, so she did me absolutely no favors. And then she seems to be a YouTube blogger, Instagram influencer. And then in one of the episodes, Duncan mentions that she was on Strictly Come Dancing. So what do you think about Saffron?
I didn't know who she was. I'm gonna
Same.
be very honest about that. But like I think she is nice and which I think like she's gonna do well in the game. But I also think that like she's gonna become too nice in a sense that like people gonna easily like be able to catfish her, fool her, you know. She seems like the type of that would trust anybody and everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't dislike her. I just don't know if she's gonna play as hard as the other contestants that have been showing already.
And I don't know if it's the worst thing though that like she doesn't overanalyze the catfish or not catfish, because at the end of the day, it's just you need to be popular, not necessarily everybody else. So she could potentially use it to drive down someone's like popularity if you want to say they're not genuine or whatever, because it's not them. But sometimes like overlooking that component of being catfish isn't always the worst thing. So we'll have to see how that plays out. So we have 5 other players in, and they're all catfish, aka someone is playing as this celebrity. So our first one, we have, I'm probably going to mispronounce this dude's last name. So sorry, Melvin, if you are listening, I'm sorry. But Melvin O'Doom and Ricky Haywood are catfishing as Will I Am. So Melvin and Ricky are DJs together. They've been friends for like 20 years. Melvin did Strictly Come Dancing. It doesn't seem like Ricky's really done much in terms of reality TV. So my previous statement about Duncan was false. Ricky and Duncan are the only 2.
Okay.
But that's really not as important, though, in my opinion, as the person they're playing as, because it's, I think part of the whole figuring out catfish is like, would this person actually sign up to play this game? And they're catfishing as Will I Am. When I initially saw this cast list, I was like, why would you choose Will I Am? Like, dude is known. He's in Black Eyed Peas. Like, he's got stuff going for him. But then I was talking to some of my UK friends, and they're like, no, he's a judge on The Voice. So it kind of makes sense. But I don't know. Maybe because I'm American, then I'm like, this doesn't he have like better things to do with Fergie than to be in the circle for a week? So what are you thinking about this?
I disagree a little bit because I think Will.i.am likes reality TV, like music ones, of course. Like he has been like guest judge for like the X Factor US, like on Britney Spears' Judge's House. Like he has been a mentor for The Voice UK. So I feel like he has a little fit already, like in on the reality TV scene. Like he loves that. And yeah, like I say, that thing for me is that like the stand up for concert thing, like really thinking, oh, maybe he's doing for charity, you know? But
Yeah.
I do think they're trying a little bit too hard with like the astronomical spaceship kind of thing. I'm like, that's not how Will.i.am is as a person. I think that's how he is as a entertainer. But I don't know. Like we have to see how.
Yeah, I've never personally had a one-on-one conversation with Will I Am to know if that is his normal conversation type. Unfortunately, I don't have that much inside analysis on it, but I will work on that for the next time I'm on here. I will see if he will respond to me and see if this is how this goes.
Astronomical,
yeah,
intergalactical.
Our next catfish is Bag of Chips.
Yes.
As Kim Woodburn. So I, again, hand up, I don't watch Drag Race. I'm sorry. I've tried. I've genuinely tried. I support it. I appreciate people's fandom of it. I just can't get into it. Like, again, it's like song and dance stuff. It's just not for me. But I am going to leave the Bag of Chips stuff to you. First of all, Bag of Chips is making me hungry. The name itself, like I'm due for my after school snack and I didn't have one. So please, Leandro, tell us all about Bag of Chips.
Well, Bag of Chips, as the Bag of Chips, is a delight. She is TV gold. She knows how to please the audience. Like she has such a unique sense of humor and she loves to make fun of herself and like she's messy but like very, very, very smart kind of humor. On Drag Race UK, she may not have been like the most polished queen, but she was the one who bring the entertainment, like the best confessionals, the best like taglines, like Bag of Chips was like one like to watch out like for an All-Star season possibly. Like she's definitely coming back 100% sure. And she had like I don't know if you should say that a couple times, but like she came out with the tagline like on her shoulder was like much better. So that's why she keeps doing that thing on the show.
Oh, so
Much
you're
better.
connecting some dots for me that I didn't know.
Yeah, and she playing as Kim, I think is gonna be hilarious because I will also watch Kim on the Celebrity Big Brother UK. It's just a character of herself, you know. I think it's gonna be like, and they're friends in real life, so I think it's gonna be like a good combination. Like she's gonna try to be faithful to her friend, but also she's gonna try to like make fun of the friend just to annoy the friend watching at home. Like I don't do this, you know. So I think it's a very good person for a bag of chips to catfish. Yes.
So Kim Woodburn, I had to look her up. When I told my friend I was podcasting about this, he was like, "You need to watch this compilation of like her highlight reel." Essentially, I didn't get to watch it because today's been a busy day. However, I can post that link if anybody else wants to watch it after this. Go for it. Apparently, it's great. She, as you said, was on Celebrity Big Brother. She came in third, and she came in second place on I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here back in 2009. So again, like I think it's a reasonable thing to say, oh, it could be Kim Woodburn in here because she's done these types of shows before.
Yes, I would believe Kim would do that 100%.
So, I mean, again, this is my first introduction to almost all these people. So I believe it too. Come on, Kim, go get your money or your money for your cancer charity. So next, this is probably my favorite pair, is Sam Thompson and Pete Wicks as Rachel Riley. These two dudes have me cracking up every time they're on screen. They're so funny. I could sit and have a couple beers with these guys and not say a word and just listen, and I would be heavily entertained. So Sam was on Made in Chelsea, which I had to look up because I've heard of, which they called it like a structured reality TV show, which like just call it scripted. And he was on Celebs Go Dating. He was on that season with Pete. He was on Celebrity Big Brother, and now he has a show with Pete. And Pete I wasn't 100% sure, on Towie.
Towie, yeah.
Have you watched either of these shows?
I watched like clips of it because I got curious. For example, like I watched Celebrity Big Brother and Gemma Collins was part of the cast on one of the seasons. So I looked for that and like it's just they all come from the same route as like the Hills and Jersey Shore, Geordie Shore. So, and it's a big thing. Like in the UK, they love Geordie Shore. Like the people who have been like on Celebrity Big Brother from Geordie Shore, like have made it like pretty far. There are a couple winners on there. So Tao is from the same like niche as the Geordie Shore people. And talking about those two. I think the introductions of them were my favorite because it was so funny. Like Sam just being like super like happy, like, oh, Pete is my best friend. I love him. Then comes to Pete like, oh, I want to hate to live with him for like all this time. It was such a great dynamic. And
that's the exact dynamic they have every time they're in there together. Like if they were able to donate $1 to cancer research every time Pete rolled his eyes at Sam, they wouldn't need to run this show because they've already raised all the money they needed to for cancer research.
Yeah, it's a fun dynamic for sure. I was very confused about like the character they're playing as Rachel Riley. Like it seems like a very serious woman, like
the opposite of them.
Yeah, very opposite of that. So it's very interesting to see they playing as her.
So Rachel Riley is a host of a countdown show. She's also hosted daytime puzzle shows, and she was a contestant on Strictly Come Dancing. She was also a math major, so shout out to a fellow math major. That's becomes relevant in episode 2 as well. So I don't know much about her. Do you like? She isn't really reality TV star as much as she is a host of things. Have you seen her before this?
No, when I heard Rachel Riley, I thought it was Rachel from Big Brother
Big
US.
Brother.
I was like, what? That's an interesting choice. And then like I was like, oh, I didn't know about this Rachel Riley.
But she seems well known, which I think can also be good for them because it also seems like they can kind of be generic with her, and they seem to know a lot about her. When they was like, oh, it's a math thing, we have to step up. Everybody knows we're a math person, like her newborn daughter and all that. So they seem at least like they have a lot of knowledge about her, which I actually think is the exact opposite of our next contestant. So I think her name is pronounced Lady Lashur. She's playing as Big Nasty. I gotta put this out there right now. I was so pumped for her in her intro, and so I'm like, oh, she's gonna be so much fun. She put first of all, it's like Big Nasty, but we don't have the accent, so Big Nasty. His age as 28, and in my, again, extensive research, dude is 35. She was off by 7 years. How do you not even know the age of the person you're catfishing as? Well, especially when he's a celebrity. When I saw that today, I was like, oh my God, what are we doing here?
Yeah, that was a mess. Like when she first heard introductions, and I was like, okay, I love this like method acting thing, I'm gonna pull it up Big Nasty. But then like she was like off by 7 years because he doesn't look 28.
No.
Right there, like you could easily say like somewhere like early 30s will be acceptable, but like don't say 28. Like, come on.
She was so wrong. So wrong. And I didn't realize that till I was like doing research for this. So I also did that like after episode 1, but before episode 2. So it was just really interesting to find that out, to be like, oh no, what have we gotten ourselves into? She is a rapper, singer, songwriter, and producer. She was also on Dancing on Ice. And Big Nasty I just said that real weird. He is a rapper, singer, songwriter, presenter, and he's made some quiz show appearances. So he has been on like some competition shows, but not a reality competition show before this. So I think it could be realistic that he's on here. But he hasn't done anything like this before. Anything you want to add in about?
Like, not without like revealing any spoilers from what has actually happened now. But they're
gonna be fun to talk about for sure.
Yeah, like I was pumped when I saw her introduction. Let's just say it didn't like continue that way after like, but I was pumped to see like Lady Lashur play as Big Nasty. But
so our next pair is Kay Adams and Nadia Swahala. I might have pronounced her last name wrong. Again, apologies if you're watching this. Just tweet me and tell me how to pronounce it right. I'll definitely answer. They are playing as Gemma Collins. So they are two hosts from Loose Women, and Kay Adams has had like on and off stints with Loose Women for like 15 plus years. She's done other previous TV shows, mostly like in news reporter form. And she's had her own spin-off show with Nadia. They're like best friends. And then Nadia was on a British soap opera. She won Celebrity Master Chef. And again, also on Loose Women. Do you know anything about the Loose Women show or these two women in general?
No, like I think Nadia was a Celebrity Big Brother, wasn't she? I think
if she was, I missed that. But I'm not an expert.
I definitely think I remember like the Nadia and Loose Women kind of thing combined, but like all I can say is that like if you're gonna play JC, like that's a big name because Gemma Collins is so unique. So I'm just like both excited and afraid for them because Gemma is such a character. Ballsy choice though, but awesome that they're doing that.
So Gemma Collins has, in my research, been on every reality TV show in the history of reality TV shows in the UK, including, but probably not limited to, I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, Celebs Go Dancing, Dancing on Ice, Celebrity Big Brother, and she has her own show, Gemma Collins Diva, plus is originally from Towie, which I didn't even see in my research, but picked up from the episode. So when we say reality TV star, I think that we could take a guess here and that she is like the depiction of that over in the UK.
Yes, like on her Celebrity Big Brother season, she was like the enemy of Tiffany Pollard, New York, from all
Oh,
the VH watchers. So like
I know her. I know her.
the clash of like the reality TV stars. Like
Mhm.
there's a video that Tiffany is just on the confessional and she's just calling like Gemma so many bad names. Like she's a disgrace, she's ugly, she has a bad fashion taste. It's just like, oh my god, like it's bad. But Gemma is fun to watch. Like even like if you wouldn't be friends with her in real life because of
Mhm.
her too much personality, she's fun to watch, she's entertaining. And like I said, like it's very positive decision to do Gemma Collins because everybody knows Gemma Collins
Mhm.
and it's going to be very hard for them to like nail that.
Yeah, that makes sense. And we see some glimpses of that through the first 2 episodes as well. So the first part of the episode was doing exactly what we just did, which is going through the introduction of the players and the people that the players are catfishing as. So once that all happens, we get into a circle chat. And so the circle chat is when all the players can talk to each other. Have any opinions on that circle chat? Because I have one.
I think it was just like very like people are like afraid to like come out. Like it was
Mhm.
just very like laid back, like was thinking too much, you know,
Mhm.
like they were not like just ready to socialize and stuff like that. So I was like, for me, it was way more interesting to see like when they first saw the names and they were like, oh, like this is definitely a catfish, and it wasn't. Or
Mhm.
this is definitely like I can see this person here, and like it was a catfish. So it was very interesting that moment. But like I feel like the chat itself it was just like very like people are very laid back still.
Yeah, I was kind of bored by it, to be honest. I mean, especially when you know that so many of these people at least know the person, the picture that's there. It might not be the actual person. So I would have expected more like of those connections coming out immediately. So I thought that was interesting that they didn't come out, but I can also understand from a gameplay. And maybe that was also because when I watched this, I wasn't expecting a high level of gameplay out of the celebrities. And I don't know if that's any sort of bias or whatever, but I mean, you tend to get better gameplay if people are like fans of things, and that could have been it. They were all being a little bit more reserved because the gameplay becomes so intense in this season
Yeah.
already. I mean, we're only 2 episodes in.
Let's just like do a little brackets here about like you mentioned that before. I feel like that would be a good time to talk about it. How do you feel about like the catfish witch hunt? Like, do you feel like that's a thing that like every circle happens is like that is the goal of the game, like to vote it out
Mm-hmm.
the catfishes, and like ultimately it's like a social, you know, like it's
Yeah.
about yourself. So how do you feel about that, like the catfishing, like witch hunt factor?
So I think it's kind of a double-edged sword because really the goal of a game is to win. And so if you have a catfish army around you and you're not a catfish, doesn't matter as long as they trust you and are willing to put you high in the rankings. But I also think that having the opportunity to call someone a catfish and be right about it and have evidence against it can be a big thing to help you, whether or not you're a catfish, like prove some validity and also gain trust from other people. So I think that especially when in seasons the narrative of get the catfish out is so strong, I think that some of the gameplay is lost with that. However, I also understand like hiding behind the narrative a bit so you can have some gameplay. Um, I think that this season's players so far have done a really good job with when they've figured out catfish. What do you think?
I think so too. Like at the beginning, it was just like a matter of like getting those real life connections, you know, like put them together. Like we're gonna get to there like on the first ranking and stuff, but like, you know, like real life friends, you know, like they knew that they were not like catfish and they're like, okay, I know this person is a real one. So I feel like that's
Mm-hmm.
gonna be a huge factor in this game. So I really don't know what to expect next because we're gonna get to the ranking and then I'm gonna be able to elaborate a little bit more about what I want to say without spoiling right away.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like outside connections, it's gonna be a huge factor of like trusting, you know, in this
Mm-hmm.
season specifically.
So once the circle chat finished, we went straight into the players ranking each other. And for me, in the ranking portion, that's the first point of the episode where I was like, okay, we have some people here to play. Like, this isn't just celebrities for you to watch. Like, this is celebrities who are going after it. So we had a lot of strategic talk of where to put people because it seems like they're going to be popular, so let's tank them. Or a lot of people won't put this person high. I'll put them up high on my list. I was genuinely impressed by this. What did you think about the whole conversations that happened during the rankings?
I was just like shocked by the editing. They did such a good job on blindsiding the audience because like one of the people that went on the block, I was sure was gonna be an influencer by the editing. I was like, oh my God, like this person is doing so well, you know, like getting those connections there. And I think that was their flaw. Like they did so well that people strategically like, you know what, I'm gonna put them lower in the ranking because you know, so it was very interesting how they have that like, you know, like input like, oh, I cannot give this person power. He's too powerful already. He's a social beast already. So it was very interesting to see that played out on the first ranking already,
Right.
just like out of the blue.
So we had the rankings only right after that circle chat. They had no other information. I bet if this event that they did happened before the rankings, it would have changed some things for some people. So the event probably had a name, and I won't lie to you, I don't know what the name is, and I forgot to go back and check it. So if you care that much about it, I can figure it out for you. But essentially what happened was the circle provided a statement, and then everyone had to vote on who they think made that statement. It was a personal fact about the players. So the very first one is someone saying, I'm afraid of fish. It's the way that they look at you. And it was Big Nasty who said that. Big Nasty got it wrong. So right away, especially on a fish one, because it's so easy tied to catfish, I was like, girl, you gotta be better. Like, what are we doing?
And she was reading like his book. like girl, I thought you would like be studying more, you know, at this point. Like crazy.
It couldn't have been that much of like they couldn't have told you 2 days beforehand, like, by the way, you must have had a little bit of time to like prep and Google it. How did you not? So, I mean, given like the being afraid of fish thing, I understand getting that wrong, but we saw the two women, I'm forgetting their names already. So the two women playing Gemma make like a smart, Nadia and Kay. There we go. Yeah, I only wrote it out like 19 times. No big deal. So we saw Nadia and Kay make a pretty smart strategic move with the question was like, I've shit my pants before on TV. And so they weren't sure if it was Gemma because girl has been on every TV show. There's a decent chance that she's done that. And even if it wasn't her that said that, like she could have done that anyway at some point. So they weren't sure. So they said it was about themselves because then they were able to be like, oh, well, we have done that. We didn't know who had that story and we're able to put it on here. I thought that was so smart by the two of them.
I absolutely agree. Like, because they were conflicted, like, oh, it could be us. And then Nadia said, like, oh, it's better, like, we put, you know, say that it was us and we didn't, because we can say, like, I did it in a different occasion, you know, I could have told that to the world. Or, like, instead of, like, saying it was not me, and then it is me, like, that would make it look way worse. So that was a very good insight. Like, that's the way, like, I feel like that's how you win this game. Like, just you don't have to be saying the truth as long as you know how to sell it as a truth, you know? So that was like brilliant of them.
Yeah, I was really impressed by that. And when I saw that, I was like, okay, we're gonna get some decent strategy out of this if you're already thinking so intricately about like a little circle game. One other point that came up was when the statement about Kim was used, it was from her tweet. And in the circle chat earlier, Kim was like, what are these little pictures next to the words? How do you do that? Like playing dumb. And so I think it was the guys who were playing Rachel Riley were like, girl doesn't know what emojis is, but can use Twitter. Okay, like that's suspect. So,
Yeah.
was there anything else from that event
No,
that you
I
took
just think
away?
I like 100% agree with you that like the ranking results would be completely different if the game was before. Like I was like that's a shady game to do like round one because like you really like putting like the catfishes like naked on the streets. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's it. Like you're supposed, you're completely exposed now. So I agree with you on that. And it was just funny to see like they getting it wrong and like they contradicting itself, even getting right, like Kim, but also like this strategy on Nadia playing Gemma because if it was a different character, maybe that'd be a big mistake. But it's Kim Collins, like she's, unapologetic. She'll do like, yeah, I shed myself on telly, like I did that already
That's
once,
just a Tuesday for me. Whatever.
Exactly. So they nail like the catfishing part like perfectly right there. It was a very interesting moment of the episode for me.
So after the event, we then see the rankings revealed. And in eighth place was Denise. What did you think about Denise being in eighth place?
That was a strategic vote, 100%. Because I don't know, like if it was like how they actually felt, but like by the editing, it kind of like they sold that she was like killing the social game, like by being
Mm-hmm.
there for people. Hey babes, like being super nice, being with this. So I was like, oh, I don't know if she's gonna get like. I think she could have been like the influencer, but if not, she could be like higher.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely not the eighth place. So I think that was a very strategic vote by everybody else in the cast.
So something that I'm not good at is analyzing the editing for things. I just like to take things at very much face value. It's why I'm such a reality TV fan. Like I am not in between the lines. I'm not using the critical thinking skills up here. I'm just like, okay, you said it, must be true. So
But
you
didn't you
bringing
think
up
that she was like fake? Like, didn't think that she was
Oh,
like
I
being
definitely
liked?
thought she was higher because of it. And I didn't think of like, well, maybe they edited it this way to make her be lower. I was just like, y'all, they're playing really strategically. So
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
I didn't think of that. We had a three-way tie for fifth place. So we had Dunk, because I'm only calling him Dunk from here on out. Dunk, GC, and Rachel. So what did you think of that trio being ranked at number 5?
I feel like that was also like strategic. Like some people like the GC like not being on top, that was a very, 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 very like people blowing them in the ranking like purposely. That's how I
Mm-hmm.
feel. Like Duncan, I thought he would be like lower. Like I didn't feel like because he's just like usually like when the guy is like just like athletic and feel like people think right away that he's a catfish, like trying to be
Mm-hmm.
like seductive and stuff like that. But I just feel like he didn't put himself out there that much, so it kind of makes sense. But GC and Rachel, like I do feel like was strategic, like on the other cast, with lowering them in the ranking more than because like for example, like Will I Am was higher than them, and like
Mm-hmm.
that's like such an obvious like catfish thing. Like, why would
Yeah.
you like? So I think it was like a kind of strategic to get like the most sociable place on the bottom.
Mm-hmm. I mean, if I was one of the three of them, that's actually probably where I would want to be sitting, somewhere in that 4 or 5 range anyway, because I don't think you want to have too much power at the beginning and you want to seem like you're under the radar for a bit so that you have that opportunity to be like, well, this person's been an influencer this many times already. We should really work on like lowering them. And so by lowering someone, you only raise yourself up in the rankings. So if I saw that and I was in the game, I wouldn't be mad about it. I'm not really surprised by any of those, especially with what I think is the strategy being used behind this first vote.
Yeah. Would you use
In
like
fourth, we have
the?
Kim. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, it kind of froze a little bit, but it's okay. I was gonna ask like what you would do. Like, would you use like your friends, your like the people that you're talking most, you put them on the top of the rank, or would you like try to play strategic like by how everybody's reacting to others? Like, what would you be your strategy for a game
First
like this?
vote, first vote, I'm definitely putting my connections up at the top because you never, any game you play, you never know what's happening with that first boot. It is a wild card. And so in something like this, I want to promote people who are going to protect me. And I'm not messing around with that. I would wait till later on to then like, okay, if my closest ally has been the top 3 or 4 times, I might purposely lower them for a couple of reasons. 1, you want them to stop being such a threat. You need them around longer. 2, to maybe get yourself up there a little bit more, whatever it might be. But this first one, I'm definitely trying to promote anybody to influencer who is keeping me safe.
Exactly, right? That's why I was so shocked about this ranking. I was just like, I didn't get this feeling at all from the cast. I thought like Denise was like up there. That's what I thought. I thought like we're gonna get to the influencers, but I thought one of the influencers was gonna be like completely on the bottom. Like,
you wonder if like people felt that they know Denise, but Denise didn't know them because she's been around show business for so long, that it could be more along the lines of, yeah, they know her, but she might not save me because she's so well known. She might have closer ties in the house when really none of them were the closer tie. Like, I could see that happening.
that makes sense. Absolutely. I didn't think that way, but that makes sense completely.
It's like when you watch these like mini games online and you've seen the same person play like 5-6 times and you're finally in a game with them and you feel like you know all about them, and then you're like, oh, it's weird that I could tell you all these things that you said 3 weeks ago in banishment. I feel like it's the same type of thing with the celebrities, because like they know of each other, but you don't want to seem like too creepy that you know everything.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So we had Kim in 4th, which again, if I was Kim, I would be happy about that. I know Bag of Chips was like, I'm supposed to be the most popular, but
Yeah.
what do you think about Kim landing there?
I think it makes sense, honestly, because first of all, I thought it was a bad picture choice. I think like getting like a very like old picture of Kim, when she was younger. I don't know, for some reason like it would raise a red flag for me, instead of putting like a more current one, like, oh, that's a very Kim, like picture. So I think Baga should be happy with that position, to be honest, because she's like the emoji thing, she'll slip away a little bit right away. So like she should be happy with that.
Something that is related to what you just said, and I don't want to like tangent too much, is I am so thankful they did not take 10 minutes going through the which profile picture should I pick that they've done in like other circle seasons, because it's like, I don't care, just pick one. Like, this is not interesting to me at all. So I am very thankful that they didn't. They did a little bit, but it wasn't anything annoying. So good job, Circle UK. Proud of you.
Felt like super fast for me. It was like 15 minutes. I'm like, what? Like, done already? Like, it's
I agree with you. In a surprising 3rd place, at least to me, was will.i.am. And something that you touched on is like, it smells like catfish in the building because of will.i.am. Like, it is radiating the scent of fish from their apartment. Like, we all know that's not will.i.am.
Yeah, like I said before, like I can see will.i.am doing that because like he has been on reality TV before, like as a mentor and like or a guest judge on like X Factor and stuff like that. I could see him doing that, but that profile was not it. That was like my vision of like, I don't know, like thinking that celebrities are the characters they play on movies, just like astronomical and stuff like that. Like it didn't land to me, but at the same time, those guys, they are radio hosts, so like they probably have interviewed will.i.am like many, many, many times. But like I said, it's not about being accurate. It's about how you sell it. Like you can be accurate and sell it, but you don't need. You can be inaccurate and sell it the same way. And for me, if I saw those like astronomical, interplanetary, intergalactic things, I was like, I don't know about this. Like, definitely would be like a super low on my ranking, like 100%.
So I want to come back to a point about what you just said, but not until we talk about who is nominated. So remind me of that. I'm gonna put a little. Oh, I can't. That's my school notebook. All right, I'm gonna put a little star here on this toll violation that I have to pay. So I think you bring up a good point there, and the other part of it, which I thought was interesting, was like they said that they talked to him before they came into the circle. And so was there a conversation of like, let's push this like whole planetary universe type of dialect? Like what was the game plan there? I don't know. So I agree with you that it's like how they're trying to sell it. And it's like the final discount version right now. Like they're not doing the best, but it's working for them. They got third, maybe
Yeah.
because people are like, all right, he's a catfish. We'll deal with him later. But right now we got other issues.
Yeah.
That's
Or
my
also like
guess.
maybe like they are like helping Will.i.am to promote stuff because they also mentioned later something about like, oh, I just released like a Latin album. You
Is
know
that
what I'm
even
saying?
real? I
It,
didn't look up if that was
I think it,
true.
I don't know if it was like just a Latin album, but like there's a lot of like Latin people like featuring the Black Eyed Peas recently. They
Mm-hmm.
have done with Anita, which is a Brazilian singer, Shakira, J Balvin. So it might have been like a Latin
Okay.
album. I don't listen to the Black Eyed Peas new stuff, but like it could have been true. So maybe like Will.i.am is like, oh, if you can like name drop like the interplanetary thing, so you know
Mm-hmm.
people, I don't know, maybe help to upsell like his music or stuff like that. But
No, that makes
I
sense.
personally, I wouldn't buy. I'm like, that's
Again, as I said, like when I just read the cast list, nothing else a couple weeks ago, I was like, Will.i.am. This is the one that does not look like the others. It's like, if you're telling me to pick the outlier, that's it. So, all right. And then we have our top two spots. So the top two spots are the influencers this week. And in second was Big Nasty, which means in first was Saffron. What do you think of our influencers?
like I said, it was very strategical vote for sure. I do feel like because it was before the dynamic, like the event, it made sense for Big Nasser to be like on top because like it does like the character like gives like this approachable vibe,
Mm-hmm.
like the cuddly bear, like she mentioned, like stuff like that, like just a nice and fun guy. So it makes sense. But like with Saffron, I was a little shocked. I was like, why? Like, I didn't get that she was like engaging with others as
Mm-hmm.
much. So I don't want to like look down on Saffron's game, but like I felt it was more like I think that like people trying to get others on the bottom, and she for some reason ended up getting those points that make her high because we don't know like exactly how many points she did. We don't know
Mm-hmm.
that. We don't have access to that. So I do feel like it wasn't. I don't know. Maybe she got like third, fourth, like in stuff
Yeah.
like that.
You don't need to be, it's hard to be everyone's number one, but it's really easy to be everyone's number two. And if as
Mm,
long as you're no one's number 7 or 8, you know what I mean? Like you're
mm,
mathematically you're going to be higher up. So I think what you're saying is like because they were trying to suppress some people's rankings, she kind of floated to the top. Not
yeah.
necessarily it's like, oh my God, I love her. Let's put her at number 1 type of thing.
I don't think so. And like I would be afraid like if she was an influencer, because like she's such a wild card in a sense that
Mm-hmm.
like we don't know a lot of her because her
Mm-hmm.
content is like more like YouTube or social media and stuff, and
Yeah.
the other celebrities they're more like television and stuff like that. So she kind of like is a different, like a new kind of celebrity that is just like emerging. So I don't think she's out there as like this other character. So I'll be like, I don't know where this girl's head is at.
Yeah, that's a
So
really great point.
yeah, so I would be afraid of her being like the influencer week one.
Well, the last thing we see in episode 1 is the circle saying that the influencers each have to put up one person who then could potentially be blocked. So they're each picking a specific individual that the two of them will then decide together out of the 2 that they nominate who will be blocked. And they don't show us at the end of episode 1 who that is. So my question to you is, at that point, who did you think was going to be nominated?
I had a feeling that based on the rankings, Denise, like after when I first watched it, I was like, oh my God, like what the hell just happened? But the thing is, round one, the easy vote is to put the person that is lowest on the ranking. So it kind of made sense that Denise was there. And I also feel like if people like that's if I knew like these people outside of the game, I would put like Duncan up as well because they're real life friends and it's out there,
Mm-hmm.
like it's really out there. So I feel like it would make sense, but like will I
See,
am like
yeah, exactly. I
like
was thinking, okay, they might not put Denise up because they might feel bad that she was already ranked last, that like don't beat someone while they're down, that okay, we won't put her up. She's already been up, or she's already like been ranked last. So I was surprised when, because no, spoiler alert, as you're listening to a podcast, that's a recap. Denise gets put up, but we'll get there. And then I didn't expect Duncan at all. I expected will.i.am, because I think, again, it's like, that's an easy, all right, well, we all know this is a catfish, so we can like get rid of this person and have like an easy first vote. But like we've implied, Duncan was also put up. So at the beginning of episode 2, they go straight into the influencers deciding. So Big Nasty put up Denise, saying Denise is a catfish. And Saffron put up Duncan for not really knowing him. What did you think of the reasoning or anything else that came out of the little influencer monologues about their decisions?
So like I said, Duncan, like, he didn't feel like he put himself out there as much. So I do feel like that was like an easy vote as well. And also like, because like then like for me the Denise vote was the most obvious one. Because she was on the bottom, like, even though like Lady LeSure, Big Nasty, like views of the game are so bad. Like, she's really like, oh, it definitely is a catfish. Oh, I'm 28 years old. I am, like, it's just so bad, which is hilarious. But I thought like, oh, Denise is on the bottom, so who is gonna be a person to go next to Denise? That's how I feel like was the logic. Like, that would make sense without like scrambling the game that much. Like, oh, I'm gonna put will.i.am. He was third. It's gonna be clear that like I'm going after the people who ranked right. Because there's 2 influencers. The next person available is the third place. So I feel like that kind of like played a little bit on the first vote. So she even said like, oh, I kind of want to put someone that is in the middle. And I was like interested by that statement, because like I feel like you want to be in the middle. You know what I'm saying? So it was very, in my opinion, it was not what I was expecting. It was not what I would do, but it made sense. So like, since Denise was the lowest one, Duncan be pulled to go with her. What do you think?
Doesn't make sense to me. Why is Lady LeSure so obsessed about people's emoji use? I felt like her entire decision was based on what emojis had been used in the last however many hours. I was like, why are we trying to decipher this so much? I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm just not great at using emojis, and I use the same upside down smiley face for basically everything, that I'm like, calm down. But yeah, I mean, I guess like everything you said makes sense. I was expecting something different, so I was definitely shocked. I thought that for a first move, like, okay, if I don't know if those two picked up on the fact that Duncan and Denise are not just know each other, but seem to be good friends, that it's a smart move in hindsight, even if you didn't know it then, of you're splitting a duo. So, we never want to let duos get too far. But yeah, I thought that like overall, I wasn't surprised, I guess. I was expecting something else, but I understand the decisions that they made.
Yeah, back with the emoji thing, like, she talking about like, oh, I'm sure Denise is not her, she's catfishing and say stuff like that, and then later she's like, oh, like, this man is using too many emojis, so like it's not a man. And I'm like, what? Like, like, it's kind of like a contradiction. Like, you're just saying that about Denise, and then you're saying that about a man using too many emojis. I'm just like, what is going on here? Like, she's all over the place, and I do feel like sooner, like, next ranking, right to the bottom.
Yeah, I don't think her like reign at the top is going to be too long, to be honest. All right, so after we go through the influencers putting up people to nominate, then we start seeing the one-on-one conversations that happen for especially Duncan and Denise trying to like lobby their way to stay. And the first one we see is Duncan opening up a chat with Saffron. And what did you take away from their chat? Anything in particular?
I love when like a person like is aware of like, oh, I have to save my game, but is also aware that like, it's a TV show. I'm gonna do a show. I love that, and I lived for Denise like flirting moment that she like put the gloves on, put the lipstick on, like that was clear for the audience because like the
Yeah.
person was not gonna see you. So I really appreciate that conversation. I really like it. I felt like Duncan went like too real right away,
Mm-hmm.
like with Saffron, just like, oh, this and my 16-year-old kid and stuff like
Yeah.
that. I was kind of like, oh, that's a little harsh. Like how she would know, you know what I'm saying? Like it was just very harsh. So I think he put a bigger target on his back. But which is funny is that like Lady LeSure, Big Nasty, saw that completely like different from Denise. Like, oh, she's flirting with me. She's not trying to like she's risky. And I'm like, what? Like that's not how I would interpret those things. I'd be like, if you're like, oh, I'm playing the game, that's is a red flag to me. But if
Mm-hmm.
you're just like chill, like, oh, how are you? I'm flirting with you. Like that's more
See,
like.
so I'm the exact opposite. Like, I am team don't flirt in the circle because I think you don't know who you're flirting with. And so, like, you don't know how people are going to interpret flirting. And like for me, even I don't know how to. When someone does it with me, I think you're like trying to make a fool of me. So like I would interpret that like what, leave me alone. No, like try to like get to know me a little bit versus that. So I think it's funny that you take it that way because I would have taken Duncan being like, hey, Saffron, my 16-year-old daughter loved you on Strictly Come Dancing. I would have taken that more like personally of like, oh, wow, thank you. That means something to me that like I'm doing something positive for a 16-year-old versus the next conversation that you had alluded to was Denise opened up a chat with Big Nasty and like it was just flirting. And for me, I would not want that because what is your connection based on? I want people to feel like they would feel bad losing me. And I think that we as a society are so good at disposing anyone who flirts with us for any particular reason that I want to create a connection with you that you're going to feel bad about betraying. So I think I would have taken the Duncan route versus the Denise route. I'm not flirting with anyone
but
ever.
but I feel like the thing that like we have to put in consideration is that if this was Big Nasty, he would
Yeah.
probably appreciate the flirty thing. You know what I'm
Maybe he
saying?
just wants a friend. We don't know.
Yeah, for sure. But like, I do feel like Duncan could have like, I feel like it was such a big message. Like the way I received it was just like, like my 16-year-old is fan of you. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like it's such a like big like name dropping of like a
Yeah.
6-year-old kid, my daughter, like how did you do it with me? My daughter is your fan, and I'll be like, oh my
Yeah.
god, like I fucked that up. That's how
Mhm.
I would. But I understand what you say. Like it's
Yeah, see, for me,
if
I would be like, wow, that is touching. Like, thank you so much. And then the whole Denise Big Nasty conversation, I would have been roasting the shit out of Denise if I was like Lady LeSure in my room. I'd be making fun of her to like the cameras, but I would be playing along back to her. Um,
one
basically
thing
like
that like
any sexting conversation I've ever been a part of that like I would be doing the same thing. I would just like
yeah,
no, that's not for me.
one thing that like I don't like we cannot forget, I don't think we mentioned that already, is just like imagine the paranoia level on those apartments. I would be like
Mhm.
super on my edge, like okay, like this person is so like my reaction towards like the 16-year comment, like 16-year daughter, it wouldn't be different like on real life, but I feel
Mhm.
like at the circle I'll be just like, oh my god, he's trying to make me look bad, they're like
Mhm.
that's why I mentioned that. But
Yeah, no, I understand that. I also think it's to that point is that when you have someone in there with you, that it's easier to control that because you're not just saying your thoughts out loud. You have someone to go back and forth with about what you're thinking, and they can talk you off the ledge. Or you can talk them off the ledge, and I think that those people are definitely at an advantage versus the ones who are by themselves.
yep, I agree.
So we've had the personal one-on-one chats. Then we have some. Why I have in my notes. Sorry, I've like lost myself in my notes. Like, what did I write here? Okay, that was like a note for me. It wasn't a note for like the structure of this. So ignore the last 30 seconds. Pretend they didn't happen. Um, So we go to an event and it's called the Not So Fun Run. And the premise of the event is they gave everybody a costume, a like ridiculous costume. Like one, if you were to go to a sporting event, that like that type of costume of a mascot, not just like a casual Halloween costume, and a pedometer. And they gave them a certain amount of time to take as many steps as they can. And they also had to have one person be the person to add up all the steps at the end. I don't even think that really came into play, did it? Like, did they make them do that math for no reason?
Yeah, I don't think so. They had to run a marathon, right? So.
Oh, right. So they
Yeah.
had to figure out if they did that. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's.
I won't lie. I watched the second episode while my students were having their work day today, so please don't rat on me.
No problem.
That I might have missed that detail. So yeah, Rachel Riley, aka the guys from Toei and Chelsea or Made in Chelsea. I'm gonna call them the boys from here on out. And if you don't know what I mean by the boys, that's on you. It's not on me because I've established it. So the boys are officially Sam and Pete. They were like, we have to do it because Rachel was a math major. Like, if we don't do it, it's going to be very, very sketchy if we don't. So I thought that was smart by them. What was your opinion of this event?
I'm more like on the strategic side of it. So sometimes like these events like come in as a cold shower. I'm just like, I just want to get to the vote. I want to know what's happening. But it's fun to seem like they is struggling, like the my steps thing. Like I was just like, oh my god! Like, so what happened? It was just like there's the boys. They are like there are two people play as one, and they almost sent a message to the group as like our steps, something like that.
Yes.
They like, oh, our steps, and then right before they send it, they were like, my steps, correct, please correct my steps, my.
Having watched a few seasons of The Circle, I've never seen anything like that happen. Where so they were using like the second person pronoun of our steps, and when our represents two people or more, and it's really just supposed to be one person. And they all of a sudden, it was Pete who realized it first. He was like, no. Like he's like yelling, and you're like, what is going on? And realizing I thought that was such a good moment to watch. I thought that was great. In terms of the event, though, those costumes and then running around, I was cracking up. Like, so when they like pan to each one, and you have the DJs being it like the two peas in a pod, and they're in a connected costume. I thought that was so funny. The traffic cone was good.
And the horse, like, they got broken in the middle, like when they're like running. That was very fun.
The Circle did it well with those costumes. Like, I wasn't ready for that, and it caught me off guard, but it was a good off guard. I enjoyed that a lot.
Yeah, and like I do feel like that's the purpose of like this challenge, like kind of like make them like relax and just like forget about the game a little bit, and that's like kind of a trap, like a setup for them to forget if you catfishing that like you were playing as someone else, and like the my steps thing did, Rachel Riley, like she's good in math, so if they didn't know about that and they kind of like fuck it up, they can't be like, that's not Rachel Riley, like. So I think it's the same game as well, the fill the blank one. Oh, like that's a shady game because like celebrities, they do interview morning shows and stuff like that all the time. Like, how would you know? Some kind of those things. So I think it's very important for the game. It's very relevant that they do these things. But
so before we head to the influencer room, they focus on two more private chats that happen. will.i.am opens up a chat with Big Nasty, and Duncan opens up a chat with Big Nasty. So let's focus on will.i.am first. I thought this was such a fun conversation to watch because they figure out Big Nasty's a catfish. These two guys are DJs. They've interviewed plenty of people before, including Big Nasty. So they know things about him, including the fact he speaks Spanish. So they asked him what other language, or like, can you speak other languages? And Big Nasty, aka Layla Sher, I mean, she doesn't even know how old he is, much less like what languages he can speak. So not surprising to anyone at this point in the episode gets it wrong. So what did you think of them figuring that out and their reaction to like their gameplay move afterwards? What do you think of that?
I think, like I mentioned that at the beginning, is such a good like dynamic that we haven't seen in the show before. It's just like, oh, I know you were catfish. Like it's pretty obvious to me, but how will I call you out without calling me out? Because I'm also a catfish, you know? So it was like very interesting. Then decided to just like, okay, I'm gonna keep it chill, you know? I got that information, I stuck it in my brain, you know, like it's there, you know, like we don't need to go further on that without like, you know, like playing Sherlock Holmes here, and then ended up like showing that we are catfish as well, you know? So I thought that was very interesting. Like it showed like they know their character and they have some like good input about some others, you know, like I said, they interview many people out there, many celebrities. So like the language thing linking to like, oh, I just did a Latin album, like, you know, like it felt natural. I would have buy that. So I thought that was very interesting. The
Yeah, and
gameplay.
in previous series of the Circle, it's almost once you find a catfish, you run and tell your closest ally who, like, this is what I figured out. In UK Circle season 2, there was like a little group of catfish hunters, you know what I mean? So the fact that there's a lot more information, like background information that these players have because they know each other from being celebrities in the UK. I think the strategy behind keeping it quiet is different than what we're used to seeing. And I also like it because I want to see like how does this play out going forward. So I thought that was a really cool conversation for us to get to see. And Big Nasty is just like messing things up left and right over
all
here.
over the place. Like when I was doing my notes, I was just like, after this moment, I just said like, you know, next round, if Big Nasty is not in trouble, like those people lost their mind because like it's so obvious that like it's all over the place. You know, she Lady LaSure is scrambling too much at this point. So I see Big Nasty being out very soon.
Yeah.
And this conversation with them is going to be like a big part of it, for sure.
Yeah, I believe so. The other chat is Duncan opening it with Big Nasty. And again, Duncan tries to pull those personal connections. And I mean, do you think that he's good at what he's doing? I think before you kind of implied that it wouldn't work for you.
Yeah, like so I feel like Duncan like also like a newcomer like on reality TVs, right? So I don't think he has that like the malicious thing on him, and
You're
he
not
just wanna
mean enough.
yeah, you have to have that backbone, you know,
Yeah.
like you know, otherwise people will play you. That's why I was worried about Saffron at the beginning, like oh she's just too nice. Obviously gonna put you in the higher positions on the ranking, but like people can easily like manipulate you. That's the vibe I got from Saffron. So Duncan like don't just show like all your cards at once, you know, like just like oh well, you were security and stuff like that, you were my concert and this and you know, it's just like you're just trying too hard, you know, just showing all your cards. That's the vibe I got from it. And like if at the end of the day, like I said, it's not a catfish hunt, like it's a social game. Lady LaSure is a catfish playing as Big Nasty, so she was like, okay, this guy has too many information about me, so he has to go, you know? So that's the problem with Duncan's call.
I have a dog here. He's being a little vocal right now. When I've been looking away, it's because he still has his harness on and he's chewing it like a doofus. Like, why are you chewing your own harness? But yeah, he thinks he's a guard dog. He's a golden retriever. No one's afraid of him. So when you hear him in the background, I apologize, but he has a mind of his own and I can't control him. I've tried. I've really tried. So we get to the influencer room, and first and foremost, Lady LaSure's jumpsuit is fantastic. It's red with this like white piping all over it. That was the first thing I noticed. I was like, I don't know if I can pull off a like tracksuit, the top matching the bottom. I just don't think my personality is like the best for that. However, I respect someone who can, and I would wear that sweatshirt a lot. So I'm going to be trying to find one like that because it is printed up here. So there is your fashion commentary for the day. I am not a fashionable person at all, and I only wear sweatshirts. That's probably why I was interested in it. But these two have to decide who they're blocking out of Denise and Duncan. And so they have a conversation. What's kind of cool is they like get brought into this room, or like it's technically two rooms with a wall as the partition, and they're like facing each other, but they're still the wall. So it's like they're having a conversation, but it all is still through this circle social media component. So it's kind of interesting how they have that happen, because they could easily just stay in their rooms and have the same thing, but that the view you get through the windows is definitely cool. I like how the circle does that.
The production of the show is like out there. I love it, like everything, the rooms, the color scheme, like the everything is just so well done. Like
we could do a whole separate podcast on like the aesthetics of the apartment.
Yeah, like it's a very good like immersive experience, right? Like I'm there with them. I love it.
So we get their conversation of why should they go for Denise? Why should they go for Duncan? What were the highlights of this for you?
I think it was a very good back and forth. It was just like I was buying that, like even if they were not, I was buying they were like not sure about who sent home. Like I was buying that a lot. And I said that before, like I love how the paranoia is such a great factor in this game, because like I think Lady Lashur mentioned like about like Duncan like not being as genuine as Denise, and I'm like Duncan is like 100% genuine. That's his flaw in this game. He's been himself too much, you know. So it's interesting to see like how people like read completely different. Like
that was the point when I was like, let me put a star down that I wanted to make earlier, but I didn't want to say it too soon. Is that it seems that the people, I mean, so one of the non-catfish is the influencer. The other two are the two that are up to be blocked, and that's because they were they almost like weren't sketchy enough in a way, because they were still them, like they were themselves. So people saw that as sketchy, where like if they had been a little maybe they would have been like still in the mix, which is a really weird dynamic, I think, to understand. So I thought it was very interesting that two of the three people who are actually themselves are, one being most accused for being catfish, and two are in that spot because of that, when it's actually the exact opposite of being true, which I think plays into that paranoia part that you brought up. It's like, no, these actually are people are being the most authentic of everyone.
Yeah,
and
like it can be that nice. Nobody's that nice. You know what I'm saying? Like that's kind of the vibe I get from it, and I'm just like, oh, like they're just being themselves, you know? So
one of the things that I took away, two major things from this. I think Saffron's here to play more than I initially thought she would be throughout the first like 1 3/4 episodes. Because she's having the conversation back and forth with Big Nasty, Lady Lashur. And so Saffron said that she wasn't as keen as getting Denise out as maybe like she could have been, because, well, she was very last in the ranking. So she'd probably go next time anyway. So this whole like getting Duncan out now concept, don't want to say what happens yet, is like her thinking a step ahead, which I do think is smart. However, I don't know if she knows how much things can change in the circle so quickly. So I do like just her saying that out loud really got me to be like, okay, like let's watch out for her. And she acknowledged, she's like, I don't want to make it seem like I'm playing too hard, too fast. So she's definitely here to play some games, but also in the same boat, like Lady Lashur was also thinking strategically in that, well, do I really want to oppose Saffron? Because she seems like someone who's going to continually be up here as an influencer. Do I want to like go against her, negate what she's saying, and then she comes after me next? And so to have that foresight on it, I thought was really interesting on both players' parts. I still think that Saffron's probably going to be the better player of the two of them, just because I don't think that it's so much easier to play yourself than it is a catfish when you Big Nasties are throwing out lies that are getting caught, that I think that's going to be more difficult to come back from. But I was impressed by the gameplay components from both of them.
Yeah, like that's how like that's when I realized that like I kind of like underestimated Saffron,
Mm-hmm.
like because I took her as like, the too nice, the people who gonna like, like step on her too easy. She's gonna be out there, and then but like people are gonna be using her like to manipulate her. I got that vibe from her. Like she's
Mm-hmm.
just too likable in a sense that like it's good to be on the top of the rankings, but also like to just follow others, And
Mm-hmm.
that was the moment that I was like, oh, she came here to play,
Mm-hmm.
like and Layla sure did a very good move on like following with but like too bad Layla Sure is not playing as Layla Sure. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like if it was not the entire catfish thing, like that could be like a good like alliance to build over there,
Mm-hmm.
like the first influences kind of thing. But the catfish thing is gonna be Layla Sure downfall for sure. Like I'll put money on that 100%. So, so it was very interesting conversation. Like I didn't know what to expect. Like I'm gonna wait for you to tell who was the person eliminated. But like I was like, okay, so like it could really be any of those
Yeah,
two
it could have
people.
really been either of them by the end of
Mhm.
that conversation.
Yeah,
So they bring it back to the circle chat and they have to announce who they decide to block. And the first block of the Cebrity Circle was Duncan. And I actually felt bad. Like, I was like, oh, it kind of sucks.
absolutely.
I don't
Yeah.
know if I would have felt as bad if Denise went home because, like, you could tell that he genuinely was enjoying it and wanted to play more. And I think that's why I felt bad for him. So,
Absolutely. It was a very hard vote. Like I love Denise as well. Like I think she's funny. But Duncan, like he was just so excited to be there. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? Like it was his first reality TV show thing, So like it was heartbreaking to see him go 100%.
Yeah, I think I would have rather kept watching him than I would Denise. But at the same time, I think Denise will take this whole first round as like a swift kick in the ass and try to make some moves. I don't think she's going to sit back and play dead from this. I think that we might see some
Yeah. But
strategery and some social game out of her because of what's happened here.
but the thing is, like I don't see like what Denise could have done differently on the first round. You know what I'm saying? Like she was just everybody was just like so just speaks so well about Denise.
Yeah.
Like I feel like was just a thing that like who the influencer was, like
Mm-hmm.
specifically, and people really trying to downsize Denise because she was such a social threat right after that.
Yeah, I
So
think if anything, she needs to she really just needs to capitalize on this concept of being a social threat and make those
yeah,
genuine connections. Like she lost the easiest one in Duncan, but if she can just get it mathematically, you only need 2 to 3 people to like really rank you up top to not have to worry too much. And so if she can capitalize on that, I think that we might see more Denise and versus her being the next block, like
I hope so.
Saffron thought.
I hope so. Like I don't want it to follow like the obvious pattern, that like it's gonna be
Mm-hmm.
just like people on the low all the time going after, next week. Well, not next week because it's only 6 episodes, but like on the next episode or the next, just like people
Yeah,
on the bottom. So like I really hope she can pull this one off because she has been entertaining me so much. I really like Denise, and I didn't know her before the show, so
right. I mean, I knew no one. So,
yeah.
and the one of the fun parts of the circle is once someone is blocked, they get to choose to go and meet one of the other players. And I always love the scene of like people all of a sudden really realizing like, oh shit, someone could come be meeting me, especially when they're catfish. Like you had the 2 DJs like cleaning their whole apartment, and like you had the loose women like in bed being like, whatever, I guess I should get up. Like it was so funny. But Duncan ended up choosing to go meet who he thought might be Gemma Collins, might not be Gemma Collins, which was Kay and Nadia. What did you think of his meeting with them?
I loved it. Like, I really loved it. I felt like just because, obviously, because Nadia and Kay are such a great duo. Like
Mhm.
they deliver like every single time. But like I thought he was gonna see Denise, but he was like, I know it's Denise. Like
Yeah.
I don't need to know, you know. So it was just a fun like moment of like, oh, you little two
Hmm.
loose women, eh? Like just just like calling them out. And like I felt like there was a good like share of information there, you know, that can help Gemma on their games, like
Hmm.
Gemma, like on their game. Like it was very interesting moment of like bonding personally, but bonding like game wise as well.
Hmm.
Like, hey, I have some info for you. This is what happened. You know, like the thing about like I talked to oh, Big Nasty, and then
Yeah.
like he left the group, you know, he didn't say anything. So
Yeah.
that was a little suspicious. So I like that kind of information that would like I left, so I'm gonna help out someone, you know. So I like
That's
that.
one of that statement is a main thing for me is like I think out of my pride I would want to go see one of the two people that blocked me so I could be like go fuck yourself, but really the move to go see someone else, especially someone else you want to see succeed, is definitely like your way of still influencing the game even though you've been blocked. Like you said, that transfer of information, the fact that he's able to go to those two and say 100% Denise is real, like I will bet my life on that. And the whole like Big Nasty closing the chat, not really engaging in the conversation, just that transfer of information is really important. And I never really considered that in what I had been watching The Circle before until that specific post
Mhm.
blocking meet that you know, when I eventually get to be on The Circle, they didn't contact me for this upcoming season, but I'll try again.
We'll
That
love to see it.
something I would love to consider. Oh, I'm applying as a catfish next time. I applied as myself and they didn't want me, so I'll apply as a catfish. Watch out, season 4, because I think they break cats for 3 as well. But I'm coming for you.
Yeah.
So we end the show with a woman not just walking, but like walking with authority down the hallway with a massive cardboard cutout of a human. And my exact reaction was, who the hell is this person? And you were watching and knew automatically, right? Didn't you? You knew who it was?
Yeah, like Charlotte from Geordie Shore. Like it's I'm not saying that like in a shamey way, I promise, but like she did a lot of like plastic surgery. So like I
Mhm.
had to double check who was Charlotte because I didn't watch like the most recent seasons of Geordie Shore. So I was like,
Mhm.
oh, that kind of looks like Charlotte. I hope it's Charlotte because Charlotte's so awesome. So when I Google it, I was like, oh yes, it's Charlotte. I was very excited because she also delivers like a lot on television. She did that tattoo show with
Mhm.
Bear, just tattoo of I think. Oh, how far is tattoo far? I don't know. They
Yeah,
have two
how
different
far
ones.
is Tattoo Far, I think was it.
Yeah, and it's just like she's gonna be fun to
She
watch.
won Celebrity Big Brother. She was on Australia's I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, and now has her own reality TV show. So she's definitely entertaining. And you knew the person who she was carrying her. Oh, you Googled it. I didn't. I was ready to
I,
be like surprised with the next episode. It's
no,
not like I would know him anyway.
I Googled it because I thought it was one of the Geordie Shore's like castmates. So I
Mm-hmm.
was betting that she would play like as Gary or as Bear. I thought like that would be like who she would play with, but like she played as Peter Andre. I was just
Mm-hmm.
like, what? Like
I'm
what?
glad she didn't play as Bear. I'm over Bear as a challenge fan, and I support Georgia and women in general. If it had been Bear
Yeah.
on my TV, I would have had the next podcast would have been an angry one. That's for sure.
Absolutely. Like I feel like honestly, most of the men on like Geordie Shore, X on the Beach, like they're all pure trash. Sorry, that's the facts. You know, I'm more like a Scotty kind of guy. He's more fun to watch, but
Mhm.
like Bear, like I'll be also, ugh. But in the sense that like it's Charlotte, I thought it would make sense that Charlotte would play someone like from from the shows
Yeah.
that she has been part of. So I'm very excited to see she playing as Peter Andre. Like what? Like I never imagined that. Someone told me like years before, like, oh, Char's gonna be playing as Peter Andre in a reality TV show. Like, no way. Like she's not doing that. So it's gonna be fun.
He's definitely going to be one of my next Googles, that's for sure, because I don't know who he is. So that was the end of episode 2. I know we talked about it for close to an hour and a half, but we had to introduce so many people. The next time will probably be a little bit quicker because we're just going to assume that you were paying very close attention the first time we went over all the characters. So that study up. Google is your friend as well. So do you have any last thoughts on these first 2 episodes of the Cebrity Circle?
I just want to say that I'm very excited for this season. Like, obviously the podcast was like, the push that I needed to first start watching because usually I wait for everything to come out at once and just binge. But like, I'm just so excited. So many good characters. I'm like, don't know like all the cast. I don't know if that leaked already. Like, if we knew who else is gonna be on the show coming in, like on the upcoming episodes. But I'm just very, very excited, and yeah. I have favorites already. Do you have favorites, Carrie?
Well, I think the boys are hysterical. But I also love the 2 DJs as well. That's the thing is I think there's such an advantage also just for your entertainment purposes when you have that person, especially if you're going to choose to live with them in the circle apartments for up to a week. That has to be something you have a good relationship with. You know that your natural chemistry is going to show. So I think even the women from Loose Women are fun to watch because like you have the dynamic of the conversation happening back and forth, like Peter rolling his eyes at Sam or whatever his name is, like whatever. I don't know. All the pairs I'm a huge fan of. There's no one that I don't like. If anything, like at first I think my least favorite was probably Saffron. So I'm just like, oh, good, like another Instagram influencer. But she really showed up this episode, especially as an influencer that I'm excited for what's coming down the pipeline. I don't know anyone else who's coming in. I haven't looked ahead for anything. I'm taking this like episode by episode as it comes. Yes. So
yeah, I just think it's gonna be a very entertaining season. Like the first 2 episodes like showed that already, that people are there to play. And I agree with you, like with your favorites, like the duo, like the boys, they're just so fun to watch. And yeah, the Gemma Collins character is also one that I'm like excited to see how far they're gonna be able to push that they're Gemma Collins. And that's it for me today.
So a quick rundown of what's coming up is this is a very short season, as we mentioned. There's only 6 episodes. So this is done March 15th. It's already March 11th. So there's this episode that's probably already aired because I'm in Chicago, so 6 hours ahead tonight and tomorrow. And then I believe Saturday they aren't airing an episode, and then Sunday, Monday. So if you are planning on watching this, you better jump on quick because by Monday, this season is done. We're going to have 2 more recaps coming, one on Saturday and one on Tuesday. So if you enjoyed this, please come on back. Tell your friends. We loved talking about it. And I think that really sums up everything.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, Carrie. That was so much fun. Like,
Leandro, I am so happy that we got to do this. You are now stuck as my friend forever.
Absolutely.
My circle buddy forever. So expect random DMs of like, hey, did you see that? Oh my God, the boys are so funny. Ha ha ha. My insight, especially in like chat form, is not very deep. So a lot of capital letters will be coming your way.
I can't wait. Can you please message her like we're in the circle, like message, like circle message, Carrie? Can we do that?
Yeah, and I'm gonna just say out loud what emoji I'm searching for. Give me the one. My MacBook better pick up on that. It's relatively new. It should have that type of technology at this point, right? All right. Well, thank you so much, Leandro, for joining us. Thank you, the viewers who have come in, for joining us. And we will see you next time from Silent Podcasts. Again, thanks for watching and catch you on Saturday.